Today we are here to do a live podcast recording. So we'll even do our intro and everything. But for people watching this now or later, that's what's happening. And still feel free to comment and such as per usual, because that is what we're doing. And as you will see, there are only three of us. Jesse has a big work to do and is unavailable for a little bit of time because of that. So she'll be back soon, though. Don't worry about it.
We'll probably reiterate that again here in a second.
Yeah. Just it be what it be. Work is work, as they say. So they tell me. Anyway, so shall we do the intro and get started?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Elia.
And I'm Sky.
And there's only three of us today because Jesse is still at a work thing. And we are doing a live podcast recording. So if you're listening to this on a regular podcast sometime after October 3rd, this was a live recorded podcast. So we may, answer some questions and be a little bit more hectic and over the chaotic than we normally are, which is saying something. But yeah, so today we are here because we are going to talk about a new K-drama that I know I was extremely excited about starting because it features one of my favorite tropes of all
trope.
time.
Well, and Park Min Young as well.
And Park Min Young.
She's my podcast
obviously.
favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Queen. And anyway, it's called Love and Contract, and it is about a professional fake wife. Listen, I didn't know there was the perfect job for me, but it turns out there is. So it follows a woman who is hired by various men to pretend to be their wife for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Because this is not like the first time we've encountered this. You read occasional news stories and stuff about you can hire entire families in Japan.
Kind of like even those Hallmark movies too, where it's it's a real classic caper. So maybe, for example, her roommate is a gay man who hired her to be his wife because his sisters basically bullied him into not coming out to his parents. Which is shitty. Okay. Homophobic. But they're now best friends and live together, so it's fine, and they have big plans that they're gonna retire and
to Canada.
Move to Canada and find lovers and live in a nice house together and just live a marriage-free, gay and bestie life, which,
and something to note also is that gay character, he is not over the top flamboyant.
No,
it's played for laughs or anything.
He's just a dude who happens to be gay. He's a delight. I quite enjoy him. He's played by Kang Hyung Suk, who I've seen in a few other things. He was in Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. He played the really sweet police officer who was in love with the main girl's best friend, who was really innocent and conservative and so cute.
He plays a lot of side characters and things.
Yeah,
so far,
most of his stuff is guest role, support role.
He's got that face where you're yeah, I know I've seen him and stuff, but
he's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's delightful.
So the story sort of centers around she's retiring, but she has a very long time client who she eats dinner with as his wife
3 times a week and has for like 5 years, and they know nothing about each other. Like they don't talk. She just shows up. They make like the most surface of small talk. They eat dinner and then she leaves. And he's
the
played.
Weirdest reason to want a fake wife.
Listen,
you know, like cool, but like he doesn't even take her to work functions or anything. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
nothing.
So this character is played by Go Kyung-pyo, who, you know, we love him, and he's a bit of an odd bird, you know, a bit of an interesting character. We're only 2 episodes in, so I feel like there's a lot of, you know, misdirection happening right now.
Fair warning, from now on we'll probably have a spoiler here and there, but really it's the first 2 episodes as far as reveals there isn't. And
it's a very curious show, and like even the things that we might spoil aren't going to really be spoilers.
So I feel like they're going.
Don't know what they'll mean.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be somehow turned around on us in some way.
Stuff.
So he's like very exactly. So Saranda in the comments just said smoke and mirrors. Exactly. We don't know. He's a mystery.
Like the very first, because they keep. Okay, let's explain a bit. So they keep on having scenes with this character. They have the scenes with Park Min-young's character, which seem very normal aside from him being super quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. And he's very respectful and all that stuff. But then you keep on having little tiny scenes that just show him doing really
bizarre stuff.
Stalkery things.
Yeah. And then you have other scenes where he's talking to what appears to be a therapist who's like trying to help him talk to people. So like you get the impression that like he's incredibly introverted and has a really hard time communicating. And perhaps this is related to why he got a wife to eat dinner with him, to try to have someone to talk to. Who knows? Okay, so as a little background aside, the director of this was the co-director on 2 very different shows that I feel are really reflecting in a weird way in this show. One of those shows is Because This Is My First Life.
Okay.
And then the other show is Strong Woman Do Bong Soon. So I'm feeling the vibes sort of.
What are the dark vibes?
Yeah, sort of dark mixed with the wacky, but also like sort of realistic and people just trying to find their way in life sort of situation.
Of weird variety on here. Like am I looking at the writer or the director?
The writer only has 1 credit and it's this.
So it's the director, and the director's also got like Kill It.
Yeah.
But also
100 Days My Prince.
Kim Bok-do. Like, okay. There's a lot. So if you're looking at the director's history of things they've done, you're not going to pigeonhole.
I meant Weightlifting Fairy. I didn't mean Strong Woman Do Bong Soon. I was thinking of Kill It and Weightlifting Fairy. My apologies. Yeah, he also directed 100 Days My Prince, which, as Sky knows, is one of our personal favorite dramas that we watched together. I'm being sarcastic. We had a good time. We had a good time roasting. That was a really good first half of a show.
I was about to say there were really good parts to that show.
There were the envoys parts to that. The envoys. They really. Oh, them envoys.
You definitely can't pigeonhole this director, right?
No, he's doing all sorts of stuff.
Clearly going to be a straight rom-com because that's all this director ever does, or this is clearly going to be something completely bonkers because that's all they do. Like
my guess, if I were to guess what Go Kyung-pyo's character does, I think he's a prosecutor. If I were to guess, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know anything about him except that he's kind of creepy.
I think what's that position? Is it a prosecutor? But
like an investigator?
The ones CSI type, like the ones that forensics, like specifically. I think that's the type of role he has, like forensics, studying like the angle of stab wounds and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of they halfway give it away near the end of the second episode.
What I'm wondering is if it's even maybe a step further and he's like Bones, like he's the forensic and like
a coroner or something of that. Yeah.
Because that would explain why you're really bad at talking to people, because you don't work with people who talk back. Like,
yeah,
you know. Although I did at one point, like near the end of the first episode, I was like, what if contract refers to his job and he's a contract killer? Because that would be
that would be a pretty good twist, but I feel like that's probably
coming back to the end of episode 2, I was like,
not the case.
But
Saranda again in chat says, I think he's a crime scene reenactment officer, which that's like a legit job. And excuse me, my dryer just went off and it has the scariest buzz.
Well, and if you hear anything on my end, a neighbor just started mowing. So
a classic capers. It's like they know. When I used to live in Halifax, no matter what time of day we would record, my neighbor would suddenly start mowing the lawn. Made no sense.
It was a phenomenon.
We tried to avoid, but no. So he says it's a job that's not common. Yeah, that's not crime scene investigator, like reenactment, not common.
One other level to this character is they did show, like in a brief moment, like that he probably has some relationship trauma from past relationships being very rude to him about like him being boring or something. And so I think that also layered into stuff. So rightfully so. He wouldn't want to reveal much about himself.
Exactly.
On the other hand, we are then introduced to another fella, played, his name is Kang Hae Jan, played by Kim Jae-young, who's a chaebol, who's pretending not to be a chaebol, and he's an actor. So he's like the hottest actor in Korea right now. And wouldn't you know it, he met Park Min-young's character when he was a teen and has been in love with her ever since, because of course he has.
Of course.
And he moves in next door to the fella and is a little weirded out by him and has like a real like elderly auntie like spying on the neighbors because they're bored vibe to him, where he's constantly like interested in other people's business. I kind of am in love with his character because he's just such a little shit.
Well, I think what's also funny about him is he's a huge like cat dad, despite the fact that his cat hates his guts.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Which I love early on when he's first talking to his cat, who he named Jamie after this first love, Park Min-young. Her name was Jamie when he met her. And which is another interesting
another plot
thing,
intricacy.
But like his manager's like, you know, why would you name the cat that hates you after your first love? And he's like, because she hated me too.
Listen, maybe he's one of those guys who likes it when women talk down to him. We don't know. Like, we're not going to kink shame.
I was going to say degradation kink. There we go.
Like, we're not kink shaming this fella. Like, do what you want, my guy. But he moves in to this building and sees her and is like, oh my god, it's the girl that I've been dreaming about for years, and then notices that she's wearing a wedding ring that matches the other guy's wedding ring, and he's like, oh damn it, she's married. Oh, surprise. So then he's like, oh, she's married, but then notices like she never stays overnight. She leaves all the time. Maybe she's having, like, he thinks she's having an affair. Her husband's kind of creepy, like, sketchy, and is.
Natalia is currently dealing with her cat. That's what the extra sounds.
My cat is.
But so some of that character's observations about like Park Min-young's character situation in that marriage and stuff were a little invasive, but once you start seeing like that character like stabbing the air and having creepy pictures, like there is a point that almost anybody would try to intervene and say something.
I mean, too often we hear stories about people don't step in. I always thought something was wrong, but I, didn't want to step on any toes or whatever. He's like, nah, like,
I'm gonna step on them toes.
A terrible person. I'm going to like warn her so she doesn't die. Like, okay, thanks. We appreciate that. Like,
So we also are introduced. Saran is bringing up a good point again in chat. We're introduced to a fourth character, Madame Yu, who seems to be.
Before we get too far, can we delve into Park Min-young's character just
absolutely.
a bit?
Absolutely, we can.
And then we'll visit that Madame Yu's character, and then we'll answer that question.
So, Park Min-young's character. She is cool as hell.
So cool.
Yep. And no nonsense. And she's intelligent. She's educated. She's beautiful.
And pretty much what happened is she was raised in a wealthy family, and she was pretty much groomed to be a chaebol's wife.
Yeah. A trophy wife.
And she, for various, like, they don't reveal much about why she rejected that, but she rejected that, but then decided, how can I use those skills with a business advantage? I can.
You love to see it, girl.
Be X amount of wives,
girl. Get that bag.
I did want to mention, as far as being a contract wife, she does not sign marriage licenses for every single marriage, but she actually does
legally marry
get
people
on the family register for people.
If they're willing to pay that extra fee, she is willing to have.
Listen,
she's got like 12 divorces under her belt, and she's like, I don't care.
She don't care.
I ain't never getting married for real. So
she does not value marriage, which is totally valid. Like, if you believe that it is an archaic institution that has nothing to do with your everyday life, then why would you care if you're divorced 12 times?
She has done her job. They don't say how many years she was at her job, I don't think. But she's done it long enough that near the end of her retirement, people have started to notice. So, like, the workers at the wedding venue are like,
wait a second.
We saw you last weekend get married, and now you're here again.
You know what? I would just be like, that's my twin.
You tried to be like that wasn't me, and then it didn't work. So
just like, be like, listen, shut your fucking mouth.
She's like, I will sue you. She does not mess around.
She is a business, a woman.
She also, her process for screening clients, like she has a very professional way of going about meeting up with them, and in an obvious public place, and like there's a camera, and she doesn't even get face to face until she thinks that it's legit, things like that.
Yeah. And she has hard, fast rules too about not dealing with children. She doesn't want to get involved in that dynamic or come into that relationship. And
she doesn't know how to be a mother. Like, that's not
a terrible.
Like, that's not what I'm calling for here. So, like, and I like that. I appreciate that too. That she's shown as having a very specific set of values and morals and lines that she won't cross. But, while her other values may not be what you would traditionally expect.
Listen,
it's not that she is without values or without, a framework for her life.
We love a confident queen. Okay. She's getting her bag. She's not valuing archaic institutions that don't value her. She's pro-gay community.
Also not judgmental of her clients. Her clients range from kind of like sad cases of, hey, can you be my wife? Because like my grandma's dying, versus there's pretty much one guy that's just all about money, and he wants to recoup all the money he spent on dating with a big wedding, so people will give him money.
And then there's like another guy who was bullied in high school for like being ugly, and now he's successful, but he still looks how he looks because he's not even that ugly. And so he never wanted to go to a reunion because they always made fun of him. So he has a fake wife to go to the reunion with him, to be like the hottest, most successful wife, to be like, oh,
yeah,
to show off, you know. So it's like, you know, we got a lot of.
And one little mention about Park Min Young's character, and then even there was that instance where she was playing the wife as well. She brings out her English skills. Park Min Young's always been amazing at English. Like, in case you haven't seen that in other roles that she's had, she's great. Even on Busted, like, she would be the only one that would be able to solve the English puzzles. Everyone else would be struggling, and she'd be like, "This is what it is."
And she had, like, I think we've heard like 4 different languages. Her French, I will say,
it's a little rusty, but like it was fine. It was grammatically correct. It was just very accented.
I don't know about her Chinese, but it sounded pretty good. Like, it didn't sound terrible or anything. But
so she's hot. She's smart. She's driven.
And hi, Jesse. Jesse's in the chat. Wanted to mention. The cat is back. So we can now talk about the kind of the 4th main character, honestly. I mean, we know that she's going to keep showing up. So Madame Yu, if we do want to introduce that character.
So she appears to be like, I get the impression she's not her mom.
Yeah. Like, I thought she was initially, like, in that very first flashback scene that we saw when she was a child. I thought maybe it was her mom. But their interactions since then don't feel, I don't know, like, it's weird. And it's like she's got maybe a whole pile of kids.
Like, maybe she's like I don't know, like a professional, like, finishing, like, etiquette person, or like a matchmaker of some sort. I don't know.
I thought it was her mom. Like, the whole time, I thought it was her birth mother.
Like,
I mean, I was never really sure. I was like, is this actually her mom? And she just maintains that difference by calling her Madame Yu. But then there was that one scene where she was sitting in her tiny little apartment, and she had like 10 different bank books with different names on them. And I wondered if she's like, I can't remember his name, but in that, you know, that one, like Dickens novel, the Fagin or whatever, that you know, like, if that's her thing, she took like kids and made them into, like, maybe she's not really a Chaibol kid, maybe she's a Chaibol of like a fake, you know, like maybe they created Chaibols to, you know, because then you're supposed to marry, and I'm gonna take cash.
I would be more willing to believe that if she hadn't also been in the business world, since they had scenes about that. So they did introduce her as, like, in the past she was like a very influential businesswoman, like executive level good.
She appears to have fallen on very hard times.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Listen, we're not giving that much yet. There were 2 episodes in, and there's a lot of mystery going on. This show's a lot different than I was expecting.
It seems like Madame Yu is introduced, because you even see flashbacks, introduced as Park Min Young's character's mom figure, or person that was her caretaker, though there is no emotional support there whatsoever. And Park Min Young's character pretty much rejected the first big marriage proposal, and from then on, like, walked out, but would promise to still support Madame Yu, like, by giving her a lot of money every single month. So I just wanted to round that out, because
it seems to be like against her will.
Yeah.
So Katie has a good suggestion in chat here. She says, could she be a serial stepmom, which would explain why Park Min Young avoids any jobs involving kids?
Was one line where somebody was discussing her and mentioned that she was a mistress who overstepped. Like, she was a mistress who wanted to be a wife and tried to overstep, and that was her downfall. But, like, that's it. It's sort of like a throwaway line at one point. And so I don't know if that's actually the case, or if that's the rumor that brought her down, or, you know, like, we just don't know yet. We just don't know what's going on, right? Like, there's
so much, like, so much mystery going on. And the show is so much more intriguing than I thought it was gonna be.
Even just the fact that the description says she's got, the description sets it up as a love triangle of contract marriages. She's got a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday guy and a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday guy or whatever. But like the
we have not seen that yet.
Saturday guy has no contract with her. There is nothing of that happening yet. So like,
yeah,
I mean, it could still happen, but it's like clearly this is not the cutesy rom-com about a love triangle between a woman, falling in love with two men that we were led to believe.
Instead we're given this really bizarre like mystery, like this. They're really making it seem like Go Kyung-pyo's character is a serial killer.
They tried
99% sure that he isn't, but
definitely episode 1 tried to make you be very suspicious.
Like the show has like weird suspicious partners vibes to it. Rather than like
so Jessie in chat asks, would she hate it? The thing is, I don't think she would.
I don't think you would yet. I think we have to
watching it. That's what I thought. Last month when we did the what's coming up, we were like, nah, this won't Jessie. And I was like, this would Jessie.
Like this might Jessie. Like there's like it's like a 50-50 Jessie. It depends on how the show continues. I'm gonna be honest.
That's kind of the thing. I wonder if like you have the setup and then it could just be like super silly after that.
Yeah, exactly. The first 2 episodes, Jessie.
So
will it continue? I don't know.
We can go back to the question of like Madame Yu and then the brother character. Like there's there's a lot of mysteries because like it's obvious that she was an executive in the past. And like they're trying to get a hold of some like American business person that only deals with the Madame Yu character. So there's all these, I bring that up because there's all these intricacies, which I think that would Jessie. Like I think.
Yeah. And also the actress playing Madame Yu, Jin Kyung, she's been in everything. And like she's so good. She's so excellent. Like that she's given like the acting in this is fantastic. Like
Jessie says that she might give it a try.
You might as well. Like what'll it hurt? What'll it hurt?
We'll keep you updated. Like I do think give it 2 to 4 more episodes and
then
we'll see if it still keeps intrigue and mystery or if it was just like how to introduce that character kind of.
Yeah, or if we just got hornswoggled by
right.
But yeah, I really think he definitely works in forensics or crime in some way.
Yeah.
Like and so a lot of misunderstanding.
Somebody suggested a writer, which I also thought initially, like, yeah, I could see that being the thing too, if he's like a detective novelist or something. But it feels like maybe it's something a little bit more, because he says to the therapist at one point, he can't talk about his work, or he doesn't like to talk about his work. Nobody wants to hear about that. So, which
says to me, you do something that most people find gross. Like,
yes, it screams like forensics, and then it might even be forensics coroner specifically.
And then we're also introduced to like his cousin, and his family seems to hate him. Like because you're introduced to like his cousin or uncle or something.
Brother or something. I think it's like brother, because he says like, I've got 5 siblings and you're the only one I like. But like, I don't know if maybe dad had lots of wives, so there's lots of.
Are we talking about Kim Jae-young or Go Kyung-pyo? Because I'm talking about Go Kyung-pyo because he has like the one scene where like his cousin shows up and is basically just harassing him and insulting him. And is like, my mother raised you and stuff, and you don't have any respect for us. And you get the impression that like they hate how he is too. And and that is probably the cause of
They also made it seem like they made it seem like they were from a lower social class and didn't have money, and that they were probably part of the separation was that he didn't want to deal with being taken advantage of and all the money being taken from given to his family probably for reasons they haven't told us. That's what it felt like to me.
Probably legitimate reasons. Yeah.
And then the dude was super aggressive, so like
very, very much so. So you get the impression that they just harass him and insult him. Like, you know, it's going to be that sort of like, oh, he was probably an orphan and like they were forced to take him and mistreated him. Or, you know, it's a classic K-drama setup, right?
I just remembered a detail about Park Min-young's character that's pretty funny that they keep revisiting. So she is an extremely capable person. She has like, what are the licenses, certifications, and like a heck ton of stuff. So she can cook very well. So a crux of the relationship between her and that main character is like, she'll go to his house and he will cook these amazing meals. And so there's a time or two that she cooks for him and she's very, very good. Thing is, she trashes the place whenever she cooks. Like the kitchen is a disaster.
The chaos. She's a chaos cook. And then it'll have like his internal monologue and he'll like be staring at this mess and he'll be like, I have to stop her from ever cooking again. Like, you can't.
Like, he goes and buys instant stuff to try to prevent it from happening again and it doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, and she's like, I brought my own stuff for you. And he's just like, oh.
And her gay bestie roommate sees the disaster she makes in the kitchen. He's like, any chance you're going to clean that up? She's like, I could never get a certificate in cleaning up. So, like, I'm just not good at that.
I'm just sorry.
Sorry.
I cooked, you clean. That's how this works, right? Well, you know, no one can be perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she has to have a flaw.
But I love
a single
like
flaw.
that first time that she cooked for him, and she's like, she stands up and he goes, I'll clean up. You cooked, I'll clean. And she goes, obviously, I was getting up to leave. Like, bye.
She's like attitude.
She was very agitated at that moment because he had broken up and it was a thing.
Yeah. But like, I really sort of like, I sort of like the dynamic that they're presenting with the two of them, where both of them have independently decided that they have to end this 5-year contract marriage.
For the benefit of the other person.
For the benefit of the other person, but neither of them actually want to do it. And so they keep like putting it off, and like every time they finally agree to do it, like something will happen and they'll be like, well, I guess we can't this week.
I guess we have to eat dinner.
I
mean,
listen, I don't like, oh no, the neighbor's on to us. Like, I guess we have to pretend to still be.
The neighbors suspect something about our fake marriage. I guess we have to keep pretending. Or you could just get a divorce. Like, I
will say, here's my prediction for the other like aspect of the love triangle. I think what's going to happen is, so also what has been set up, the cat dad actor guy, he talks to his cat Jamie on video chat on his phone, like in his van, and just like when he's sitting in a chair waiting to film. So like he's always doing this. So that has become a big ongoing scandal with like, who's his girlfriend? Blah blah blah. So
is it a girlfriend? Is it a boyfriend? Is it like?
And he keeps saying it's my cat, but he calls the cat darling and stuff. Like
he's in, like, he loves this cat who hates him with a cat.
The cat ignores the crap out of him when he's
like, the cat will not care if he lives or dies. The cat likes everyone but him. And so he's also in denial, where he's like, yeah, the cat doesn't really like anyone, but the cat is friendly to everyone it meets except for him.
But what I think is going to happen is like that scandal will hit some level of fever pitch because it's already working its way up to that, to where
he has to enlist her as...
It'll be revealed somehow that she's a contract, like contract wife, and then he'll see his opportunity probably like, hey, can you, for business reasons, can you come do this? I bet that's what will happen.
And
so then it'll probably be the schedule
thing. In the end, right? Like,
obviously.
That'll be the episode, like, 14, blow up will be that, like, Dispatch will get a hold of the fact that she's a contract wife who's been married,
Well, it won't be Dispatch. It'll be like Dispatch. Like, be honest. It'll be fake Dispatch on Nover. The I love fake company names.
Oh gosh. The fake magazines when they have them.
Yeah.
And like, oh.
Yeah. It's like, no, it's not Vogue, it's vague. Like, like, don't worry about it. It's not Google, it's Gaggle. Always.
Or search engine. Like, I've
yeah,
seen
just
that one
search engines.
But,
The real Ask Jeeves energy of these search engines. I like was very surprised by these first 2 episodes. It like the vibe was so wildly different than what I was expecting.
So that's kind of the thing. There are moments that do match what I would have said vibe-wise. Like as far as her being very competent and stuff, I was expecting all that. Because that was in like the trailer and things.
Yeah.
And then him having the very quiet character, kind of was expecting that. But the tone of the show is, and it's not simply those scenes where they're trying to make him out to be a serial killer or whatever. It's not just that. The whole show is actually much darker. Emphasis on the Madame Yu character. They're giving her a lot of screen time already. And her character is very dark. It's not
very manipulative, very sort of bad juju. Bad juju on that character.
Not just the flashbacks. It's like she'll have interactions and she'll be like, once I run out of money, I will die. Trigger warning, content warning. She looks like she's going to attempt suicide at one point. Like these scenes are very dark, and I was not expecting that for the show, especially this early. Sometimes rom-coms will pull this stuff once you know all the characters for a good 6 episodes, 8 episodes, and then there'll kind of be a stalker added in or a character that's struggling more or something. But this early, it was very different. It is much darker at times than I expected. Yeah. It also, so far, has not been near as goofy as I would have assumed. Now, I will say the actor character is on the sillier side thus far.
But it's more like it's sort of like that's just who he is as a person. It's less like he's like that they're playing it up for laughs or like pratfalls. It's just this guy's kind of dumbass. And,
kind of, but the cat thing they play for laughs. Yeah. It happens like a fair bit because they're introducing that aspect of him, I guess. But
I do like that the cat doesn't appear to be in any distress. I always like every time I watch these shows with cat actors, like the cats don't want to be actors. They truly do not. But this cat seems pretty chill. Like it seems like they're just like, okay, they've just let it loose and it just has to like sit there and ignore him. And it is doing a great job at sitting there and ignoring this.
Well, man. It got held for a while for a bit.
Held very gently, very nicely.
As opposed to like thrown like quite often. Yeah.
So I did like that scene when he got the cat though, where like he's done all these commercials and stuff. So he's actually the billboard for the like DHL or whatever, like the delivery service. And like Gokung Pyo's character comes down for a package and he's standing there with this cardboard box that has his cat.
His vest matches, his hat matches.
Yeah. And he's in front of like the delivery truck with his face on it. So Gokung Pyo's like, oh, I guess that's the delivery man.
I guess that's his business. Like,
sweetie. No, but okay.
This is mine. This is my cat.
Yeah, like, please don't grab my cat out of my hands. And he's like, what?
So, Saranda and Chad's asking, is it officially listed as a rom-com? On my drama list, it's listed as a business comedy romance. So those are the 3 genres it is
in my drama list is user ran. So
yeah, so that is, you know,
that's true.
But I mean, it's safe to say it's rom-com. It already has rom-com flavors.
It definitely does have rom-com vibes, but
I really wonder. I wonder about the tone. I'm not saying the tone is bad. The tone is wildly different than I was expecting, and I wonder if it'll maintain. That's
I'm like my main question. Like I was expecting like sort of a more like traditional rom-com situation, but I can't say that I am disappointed with what we've been given.
It feels very much like Park Min-young is playing a very different character than we've seen her play in the past. Like it's not just the typical like rom-com, but it's also not something quite as serious as like When the Weather is Fine. Like it's a different character. This is a very different thing.
One note I made when I was watching it, I said the anger and angst in her character. and it's not like just a one-off thing. Like it kind of keeps coming back, how she is wanting a different life. There's a lot of gravity to the character. And even though she's not playing a villain, like she has mentioned that she wants to have a role like that.
One day, girl.
Her level of anger that she has shown, though, is really nice to see in her character, because a lot of the rom-com, a lot of her other all of her roles have been vastly different. So, like, I don't want to mischaracterize.
Yeah, we have this discussion so much.
No. Like, she is, however, a lot of those rom-com roles don't allow the character to show a lot of anger multiple times. Unless like they're personally hurt or something, but already in the first couple of episodes she has really gotten super angry, like justifiably so, and she really kind of like rags on somebody, or like her character really does take people to task for stuff, and that is not a common rom-com trope for a lead female.
And even when she's not in a scene where she's actually angry, like full on angry, she's playing the character in a sense where even when she's happy, even when she's in a good place, you can almost sense that there's that like anger kind of bubbling under the
simmering
surface.
under the
like
surface.
It's there, right? Like she's got that jaded edge, but it's not obvious all the time, right? Like it's not like she does very well in her business because she's very able to be joyful and bubbly and friendly and all that stuff. She wouldn't have done well in this business if she always seemed jaded and angry. So but you can sort of see it there as a character thing.
Well, you definitely see it more when she's dealing with the Madame Yu character, the mom character, for lack of a better term. But yeah, you can tell there's a lot of trauma there.
Yeah, and you can also tell that she can never win against this woman, because even when she has this perfect plan to finally stick it to her, Madame Yu like deflates her sails completely by basically being like, because she wants to show up and tell her like, this is the last money I'm ever going to send you, like we're done. And then she shows up to this meeting and Madame Yu, the first thing Madame Yu says is, I don't need your money anymore, like we're done. And she's like, you can tell like this has been the constant in her life.
That was the one goal. The one goal
Yeah.
that she had been working towards was going to be to finally stick it to this lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then she wasn't able to do that. And then like she was just she wasn't sputtering, but that made her extra angry. And then their relationship is one where it's one of those like the first person to blink loses. If you lose your composure, you lose type of situation.
Yeah.
And that's what made it all the more hard to like handle in that moment.
It's
Bye,
weird.
Jessie. Bye.
It's weird too. Like, there's an odd sense of almost, it feels like though, like respect or something on Madame Yu's part. Like, she doesn't like Park Min-young's character, but there's a sort of level of like, I respect the fact that you've done what you've done with your life. Like, she doesn't say it, but like even the little things like Park Min-young's like, okay, let's never see each other again, but we'll do each other the respect of letting you know if we die, right? And she does. Like Madame Yu is planning to commit suicide, and she gets this guy from her former business. She's like, if I ever die, I need you to make a phone call for me. Like, like it's just weird. Like
and that's
so weird.
And you would think, oh, this was just like a one-off scene. No, like the Park Min-young character just has a lot of anger and trauma, and it is woven through other things, even when she's not expressing those emotions. So that's why tonally it is vastly different than what I was expecting. So, because it's not just, oh, those scenes. No, like the whole thing, because the character is darker than I would have ever thought.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm wondering, because I can't even give any examples, but there have been times where sometimes a rom-com will set up stuff like this in the first 4 episodes, the first 6 episodes, and then kind of randomly never visit it again.
Yeah. I
think about My Shy Boss, how it was set up completely differently than But that was also a thing that happened, right? It was currently airing, and they actually paused after the first 2 weeks because it was people were so angry and mad about what the first 2 episodes are like. But I really liked the first 2 episodes.
I did too.
And they had kind of this vibe too going on where you had this character who people saw as being creepy and weird, but wasn't actually creepy and weird. And they did this thing in it where they showed, like, whenever other people were looking at him, like, there was dark filters and like it was like you were watching
a real horror
creepy,
movie,
like, horror thing. And then when you saw it from like his perspective, it was just like a normal day at the office.
It would be like they would show him like in like, you know, a hood carrying a mysterious package and knives, and then it would like shoot him be like making sashimi, like just being like, well, I was just going to the fish market at 4 a.m. because like that's where you get the best fish. Like we got by my shy boss, like
because they because they changed it, but
well,
they do that in other dramas too, right? Like,
I don't necessarily think that's gonna happen with this. It's more like I wonder if they'll be able to maintain the tone. But if you look at the track record of the director in the past, they probably will be, because they didn't just do rom-coms. Like if it was a director that has only done straight up rom-coms, I would be I don't typically get concerned about this type of stuff. I don't sit here and worry about it. It's more like the tone of the show is much darker than I would have expected. It is a very different rom-com feel. Like it is very unique.
But I like it. Like for me with Suspicious Partner, I enjoyed aspects of Suspicious Partner just fine. But I initially dropped it because I wasn't there for, like, that's not what I wanted in it. Like the darkness. In this one, it doesn't feel the same kind of darkness in a sense. Like I don't know what it is, but like I'm digging it.
Because I feel like the difference is with Suspicious Partners, there was actually a murderer.
Well,
yeah, so I feel like there isn't actually a murderer in this one.
Well, what I will say about this one is I wouldn't put it past it, and not to be like a funny haha, but like it could, because of that character's possible job that we're theorizing, it would be very logical for there to be a killer or two on the scene, like with that character. So
it may sort of maintain this vibe by episode 6 or 7, we know what he does, so he doesn't have the creepy vibe anymore. But now they are introducing whoever it is that he's investigating or whatever, and so that creepy vibe gets maintained that way. Like it might kind of do something like that.
Because they kept showing, like, you know, how he followed somebody and watched them go into their apartment, and then like later that person died, or a similar person died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying there's possible setup for a serial killer, and it would be very logical.
Like we're only 2 episodes in.
Well, and it also could be, we've seen other scenes, like the scene in the club was clearly just a dream that she was having, but it was set up like it was a real scene initially. So I'm wondering, like, some of that stuff that we've seen, like where he was following the person, was that an actual scene where he was following, or because he was dressed exactly like he was in her dream, right? So like maybe it's more of that was his thought process of him working through what did the serial killer do. So like, we just don't know yet. And I mean,
I love it. It's keeping us on our toes, keeping us intrigued.
We'll have like potentially 2 more episodes than we have available to us right now.
Oh yeah,
when they listen, right? So like they might be laughing at us like, okay guys, but seriously, and we'll be like, oh, we did.
I kind of feel like the other part of the love triangle, it'll probably solidify in the next 2 to 4 episodes, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
It'd be weird if they delayed it like way too long.
If they let it go for, it'd be very uncomfortable for us as viewers to like set up this love triangle in the second half of the show and be like,
because of the way they marketed it, you know, that's what I mean. Like, strange.
Well, and it does feel very, like, initially I was sort of like, okay, well, I mean, obviously it's Go Kung Pyo is the lead, but like maybe it's not. But then once you watch those first 2 episodes, you're like, they're not really setting the second guy up as a possible alternative really right now at all.
Like
he's not
they gotta get
actually involved with her at all yet.
Like they gotta get him being a much more appealing,
like poor guy.
Become like, it's not that he's incredibly attractive, and he's not like a bad guy, but like,
and they're all about
from like a viewer perspective,
like which is
go ahead. Sorry.
One of the things that I do like in this is that all the actors are around the same age. They're all in their early 30s, early to mid 30s. Like they're not. It's not one of them is 25, and it's just a bunch of grown adults. But like
doing their
even
thing.
then, the actor he's much more immature in some ways but even that, like Gokung Pyo's character is in general much more mature, but he has that little jealousy thing that happens too. Like he's got a little bit of a
immature
thing when this actor shows up.
He's very, I feel like he's very mature seeming, because he doesn't know how to interact with people. But a lot of people who don't know how to interact with people are sort of struggle emotionally with things. So I think he's far less mature emotionally than the actor character, because the actor just, he just throws his emotions out and then he, processes them and moves on. Whereas you can tell that Go Kyung Pyo's character has not dealt with emotions very, very well, since he has to hire a wife to have a conversation with him 3 times a week. Like
going into this, I really did think it was going to have much more of that triangle where we would kind of be like, okay, they're 2 very different guys, but like I see why she's attracted to both of them, and but so far we aren't seeing any level of like, she doesn't even remember this kid from their past theoretically. Maybe
or does she?
She, but like
that's true. Or she's keeping it under the hat.
It's interesting. It's different. It's very, very different than I expected it to be.
One thing I randomly remembered is that Kim Jae-young, the one that's the actor role, he was in 100 Days My Prince.
He was in 100 Days My Prince.
He was a character in that like you really wanted to see more of, and you just didn't. So like, since the director also directed 100 Days My Prince, I was just going to bring that up.
You love to see it. You love to see it, He
has a very serious face quite often.
Yeah,
like
except that
roles.
But he has like goofy vibes to him.
He has a goofy role this time. It's cute. I'm
really enjoying the show, like quite a bit. Very different, in a very different way than I thought I was going to, because you know me, I'm a sucker for contract marriage rom-coms. It's kind of like my favorite genre, my favorite trope. But like, I like sort of the intrigue and the mystery that this one's presenting, and like the dark vibes. Like, I'm kind of into it.
So I actually wanted to bring up, Natalia and I did a live stream a little bit ago about just the concept of contract marriage, the trope, and like other shows that had it. And we kind of talked about the typical things that are in contract marriage dramas, because a lot of them are very, very similar with how the contract is created, all these things. So obviously Love and Contract is a contract marriage drama, like to the nth degree. But if you go compare it to all those tropey things that we discussed in that other live stream, it's very, very different already.
Well, like
it's not the typical
imbalance.
It's not the typical, this character needs that, this character, thus they strike a deal. So it's very different.
I would say, like, in terms of how the contract works, it's more like full-time wife escapist than any of the other ones. Because like
business.
It's all business. Like there's none of this, like,
But you have no cohabitation so far.
None.
Yeah.
That's not her vibe. Well, except with her ex-husband who's gay.
Yeah.
But that's different, like they're best friends now.
I mean, the lead characters, like,
yeah.
So far, there's not a cohabitation.
Kind of yeah.
But who knows? She did sell her villa.
Yeah. So like, I will say her character must make a lot of money.
She makes
her her cars,
her
clothes that she
clothes.
goes to one day a week.
the one scene where, like, at one point she married some like Saudi prince or whatever, and her payment was like just like
Jewels.
a bag full of jewels, and like she got arrested for like smuggling or something. They thought she was a jewel thief, and she was like, "No, this was just how I got paid.
This
like
was presents. They were just presents for my ex-husband. It was my divorce settlement."
Yeah, like,
Got it.
She has money, and she keeps like she's got a tray full of all of her wedding rings, and like while she's on paper been divorced 12 times, she has married a lot more men.
Like she was fake married quite a few times.
Quite a few times. So
Somebody did bring up earlier the dad husband.
Yeah.
So we can visit that a little bit because it kind of came up a couple different times. So it did become a plot point.
And he
for a
wasn't
moment.
like a great person. I love that actor. Like,
yeah, he's a good actor.
I really enjoy that actor. But like the fact that he brought her in without her, and she you see that increasing unease as she shows up at this event, because she's like, this is a kids event, this is a kids event, this is not what I signed up for. And then
because like she also inherently knew this will probably bring damage to the kid, and I don't want any part of that. Like, that's not okay.
Which probably reflects on something from her past that
we will find out soon. Right? Where she does show up later in like the epilogue, because she folded a bunch of little stars because she had noticed that at this kids event, the kids painting that was being displayed was like a sad dark sky with nothing but a moon, and I thought this was so sweet. So she folded a bunch of origami stars, and then she went into
bright colors.
She didn't tell anybody. She just was going to go put this like it was displayed in the hallway with all the other things. And so she was just going to go decorate it. But then the kids caught her.
Yeah.
And so the little girl was like, that's mine. And then the way she handled the kid was super sweet and just like, I'm just a friend of your dad. It was just a really nice moment.
And because the first time that she met this girl, she didn't really meet her, but like she shows up at this class performance thing, and her fake husband yells, "Hey, honey, look, it's your mom." And the girl just starts crying up on
the stage.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, she's totally embarrassed. This is a terrible, like, what is going on in my life? She's 5. Like, you know, and Park Min Young's like, what the hell, dude? Like, that was not cool, and your daughter is not happy. You got to go fix that, right? And then she, you know, threatens violence on him because he threatens violence on her. So he's clearly not that nice of a guy. But
well, and then when he called her back later on the phone, she ripped him a new one, and it was awesome. Like, you need to be a better person, and you need to be there for your daughter. I mean, she just like told him how it was.
No shit with this guy. You love to see it.
And that's what I love about her character. She has no shit with anybody. Like, she's just not going to take it. And you can tell it's like from her past.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, I'm really interested in this character. Because, again, Park Min Young's characters are all wildly different each time. But this one has a lot of, like, not really sass so much as, like, pain. And she won't take crap from people. And I really like that aspect of the character. Because, again, not just Park Min Young character bank, but like rom-com female lead characters in general. How many of them are take no crap characters?
Yeah.
They're starting to be more of them. And definitely not as much in rom-coms. Like, you're seeing them kind of like the female-led shows that are more about sisters or friends. You know, the ones that aren't quite rom-com. But when you're talking rom-com, they're usually not willing to yell at somebody and rip them a new one. Like, they don't usually go that far.
And one of the things that I dig about the character too, though, is that while she clearly doesn't value marriage, she does value love, and she does hoping, like, she's not bitter against romance. She's not bitter against love. Like, all of this stuff she's done has not put her into a place where she just wants to live with her gay bestie and like have cats, you know, like, she's not become that character. She still wants to find love. She's hoping that she will find the right guy for her at some point. She just hasn't yet. And I like that aspect too, because I think too often it's one or the other, right? Like they either have to love, or they are so bitter and jaded.
Yeah.
Or here's what quite often in rom-coms, if they set up a character to be very jaded and anti-love, and then supposedly when they meet somebody, all of a sudden like, oh, like I complete my value system about this and my thought process about this completely changed. No, like they already have set up
the right man to change you.
Yeah, and I think
you know what?
It's the
same. It's the same energy as when we're talking about why we don't want kids, and people are like, "Oh, you'll change your mind when you're older." Listen, I'm fucking old. Okay. Yeah, that's right, Fluffernutter. You don't want kids either.
She's like, yeah.
For anyone watching this, I need you to know this cat is not in distress. She's not crying because she's in pain or hurt or anything. She has been like this since the day we got her 15 years ago.
She's very vocal.
Yeah. She never shuts up.
She seems very happy.
She does. She seems very comfy and...
Okay, goodbye. Go harass Daddy. Get out of here.
So, people who are still in the chat and stuff, is there any specific things that you liked about the show, didn't like about the show? Any things that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to bring up? Any aspects that were neat? I was surprised that they didn't set up the actor character already being a second lead, kind of.
Yeah.
Because to me,
I'm curious how they're going to work that in.
Lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really think that Sky's theory about the...
They set it up so
yeah, they really did a Chekhov's dispatch at this point,
especially with like, oh, I did think what was really funny. So whenever they did go, the actor character, when he went onto a live news entertainment news type thing with a very serious anchor, and then the director of this movie that he's in, the fact that the actor character is just then figuring out that the movie role that he had agreed to, that he's having an interview about, is pretty much about labor disputes within
his company's, his own family's company.
The fact that he was unaware of that, and the terror on his face when he is slowly figuring this out on live television. See, that's why I say his character, he is the funniest one so far, because the situations he's been in, either with his cat or that, and then his manager's funny. So, like, he seems pretty clueless. I'm going to be quite honest. Like, he doesn't seem all that.
When he's, like, yelling at his manager, why didn't you tell me? He's like, you went to the meeting by yourself. You insisted, and you signed the contract.
You read the script, my guy. Like, what do you want from me? His poor put-upon manager. I love the role of a poor put-upon manager who's just like, why are you doing this to me? Why? Why are you this way? It's the show's a delight.
So was Park Min Young's character the best friend roommate person? Was he a paparazzi person? I was trying to figure that part out because they really didn't.
I couldn't figure it out either.
I don't think so. I think that scene where he was trying to go up and like hit on him or whatever, like it was just him trying to hit on him. Like I've heard rumors, like in the community, there's rumors that he swings our way. So like I'm gonna go shoot my shot, kind of thing. Like,
oh yes, right. And they thought he was a paparazzi, but it was because he has all those rumors. Because it's like, who's he talking to? Is it a girl? Is it a guy? Like, ooh, like
right.
So, yeah.
So Saranda says, so I was very shocked, and until I see a few more eps, I can't make a stance. So I'm enjoying the ride. This drama was a breath of fresh air compared to what I have been used to. Mm-hmm. I do think it's very unique so far. It really is.
So far, definitely. And I totally I've seen on the timeline people who tuned in for light, fluffy rom-com and tuned right back out after the first episode because they were like, I'm not looking for this right now. And that's legit. Like if that's not your thing right now, if that's not the headspace you're in, if you're not interested in twisty and weird, like, okay, wait and see what, like we're saying, 4-6 episodes in, it might completely do a 180 and become complete rom-com. We don't know yet. So
yeah, it's hard
put
to
it
say.
on the shelf and wait until later. You You can always binge it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to exist. It's Parkman Young. It's going to be available for a while. Like,
I will say it is hard to predict. Like, I can predict a little bit of it, but like I said, especially with his character and his likely job, like, it's tough to say where on earth this show's gonna go.
Where
Totally,
where are you taking us? Where are you
it could
taking
go
us?
way darker, right? Like, we don't know. It could go way lighter, but it also could take that extra dark turn.
Well, it could go suspicious partner. Like,
yeah.
Which, listen, I'm gonna be real. I'd be cool.
Yeah.
Either way, like it's all just a red herring, and it flips to rom com. I'm like, fun. You got us. If it goes the other way and suddenly there's a serial killer, I'd be like, damn, did not see this coming. Very misleading marketing. You got us again.
So I actually wanted to mention the marketing. So I will say this time around, I give a little sympathy towards the marketing department, because how would you market this?
Yeah,
so far?
Right?
You cannot market it super dark because I don't want to mischaracterize it. It's only so dark. I'm just saying the tone is darker throughout than I was expecting. I expected it to be very I expected her private life level of fluff, at least. We're not getting that.
No.
Which is cool. It's a very modern tone.
But it
so like, you couldn't market it super dark because you don't want to overplay that more than likely.
It kind of at times gives me it's okay to not be okay, like that kind of a vibe where it's got that kind of dark thing going on, but it's not even that dark. Like, it's like, to me, It's Okay to Not Be Okay was darker than this is. Like,
very much so.
You know?
So because This Is My First Life, like the fact that the director has done that one, you definitely see that tone, like the realism aspects of some of it, and that's why it'll be interesting. By the end of this show, by the end of the series, we might be saying it's not a rom-com. I mean, we really might be saying that, despite the like setup of Love and Contract. Like, of course it's a rom-com, right? But if they are able to just slightly make it rom-com and just not lean on the com as much, it'll be really fascinating where they go with it.
God, listen, I just don't want to be got like with my shy boss. The marketing for that really played us, didn't it?
But surely they learned their lesson with to not bait and switch too bad. Yeah, I don't know.
It's been a couple years. It's been a couple years since that.
Yeah, I wasn't around for that, so
it's ooh.
Well, and that one they didn't. I don't think the marketing suggested like that there was a mystery and that it involved the boss somehow. Like, the marketing wasn't straight up rom-com either. I think it was just the fact that it was darker than people wanted it to be.
And then they got mad.
And because they did that weird thing with the filters, I thought it was great because I totally got what they were doing. It was like, this is how the world sees him. This is how he sees the world, right? Like, okay, cool. But I think it just threw people, and they were like, this is not what we tuned in for. Okay, well, watch it anyway.
Watch something else then. What do you want from me?
Also, like, Because This Is My First Life. If you go into Because This Is My First Life going rom-com, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it is not. It is.
Nope.
There's a lot of sadness.
It is a slice of life, my friends. A slice of life.
Even when you look at like Weightlifting Fairy, it's much more rom-com, but it's not rom-com either. Like, there is a lot going on there that's not just about the romance, and
there's the pain of like young love and young adulthood and
missing
coming
your
of age
and like the whole single parenting, and I mean, it is very much a sports drama, and the almost like a career office drama in a sense, except for it's in college and the office is sports, but like, it was not fluffy rom-com either. There was a lot going on there. So, and so far we've seen that the director knows how to balance those things pretty well and do a good job with it.
Natalia, did you watch Kill It?
No, I haven't yet. So it's been on my list for a while, but like, listen, I'm a distractible person.
Yeah.
So like,
I hear
the
you.
longer something remains on my list, the more likely something new and shiny has, you know.
Right. As happens with all of us. Yeah,
But
like I watched a little bit of it.
Kill It has all the elements that I would enjoy in a drama. So, you know, I should maybe maybe I'll move it up my list.
People either love or hate. Like there are some people who loved it all the way through. They were like, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be, but I still really enjoyed it. And there are other people who were like, this is just no, right? So, but again, with that sense of like coming into it and going, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not it's not following every step and every trope the way that I expected it to, which is in this instance, I'm finding refreshing. Like I do find it good.
Well, it's really neat how they're deciding, you know, they're playing with expectations a little bit. Definitely with the possible forensics guy. Like they're definitely playing with that.
This fella. Well, we're gonna find out together. You know,
but it's nice so far that there's not much else set up that they're really going to have to like totally turn if they do anything. Like Park Min-young's character, there's mysteries to her, but like you see what she is right now. Like same thing with the actor. I'm sure there's way more to him, but he's also, as you see, like he's also silly. So it'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be a little ride.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'm definitely in for. I was a little nervous because I did see some people talking about it on the timeline before I started and talking about the dark element and not knowing what that was going to be going in. I was like, am I gonna, you know? But I really enjoyed it. I just it worked for me, so I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you everyone for coming to this live episode. Taping? It's just the word stream? Recording. Let's go with recording. If you want to listen to more of our episodes, you can find us where our podcast can be found, as well as all of our episodes are on our YouTube channel, where if you're watching this live, you were watching this.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we do live streams and other fun stuff. And if you want to get links to everything, you can go to CertifiedNoonas.com, our website, where we do website things with all of our information. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/certifiednoonas and join the Found family, who are the best. We love the Found family. And you can find us on social media. You know, we're all the social medias, but mostly Instagram and Twitter. Twitter, we live there. All our waking moments are found on that accursed bird app. Basically. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week, and you know, stay safe.
We also have a live stream coming up. This will be cut out for recording, but those who are here for the live stream, we're going to have another live stream coming up on Monday. We're going to be talking what's coming up in October. So just giving you a little shout out.
We do that at the end of every month, where we have a lovely PowerPoint that I've usually messed up at least one slide on. The classic,
and there will be things that were announced that morning
that don't make it to the, you know, it's the usual nonsense. So we hope that we see you there. That's Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Corn Time. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week. You stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask when you're out, because you know the pandemic is still happening despite what people seem to believe. You know, take care of your fellow immunocompromised friends, such as myself. Anyway, so have a fantastic week and keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Bye.
Bye.